Hi everybody, Charles here. Welcome to Backroads Living. In today's video, we're going to be discussing and commenting on the comments that our subscribers have left. Now, there's been thousands of comments left since we started this channel, and obviously we can't discuss all of them, but we're going to cover those that are dealing a whole lot with today's situation and current affairs. Hang in there and we'll be right back. Thank you for stopping by again. If you enjoy our channel, we would ask that you subscribe, like the video, click that bell icon when it appears, that you'll receive our videos as we upload them. You'll get notifications of that, and share with your friends on social media that they might be informed also. So again, thank you very much. This video, we're going to be covering your concerns and your comments, because in our opinion, that's worth as much as our comments and concerns are. So with that being said, we're going to start at the top today with people who have commented about food shortages and or food prices. And the first one we're going to mention today is from a follower named Richard. Richard sent this comment in this thread on the 24th. And he said, "I'm in Wales in the UK. We just went into full lockdown as of 6 p.m. yesterday. So Wales in the UK went into full lockdown at 6 p.m. on the 23rd. Think about that just a second. Full lockdown on the 23rd. Went to the stores and only bought items that I'd used some of in the last couple of weeks only. So he took out to the stores to replenish what he had used up. That's all he needed. He didn't need to go out and binge buy and buy in a panic. He was already prepared, just replacing a few things that he had already ate. And listen to what he said about what it looked like at the store. The parking lots were full, and the non-preppers were panic buying all over again. It started all over again. That's why that we endorse on this channel that if you've not began prepping, you might want to. Because if you get out here in a situation where there's a lot of panic buying going on, you're going to be left out of a lot of foods. The time to purchase food is when it's available. The time to prep is when you have food and you have supplies available to you. Put that stuff back now while you can. The next subscriber is Mary, and she said, "I'm seeing a lot of limits in grocery stores on food right now. I live in Canada." So some of our Canadian friends are seeing food shortages in the grocery stores right now. Something to take into account. The first one was in UK, across the world from them. The next one's in Canada, and they're seeing food shortages. And the next one said, DD said, "Yes, food prices are rising in North Carolina, going through the roof. Shortages also. It's not like pre-COVID. Things are different." So I'm not real sure what you meant, D, about things being different, but I would love to hear a follow-up on that if you watch this video and hear this. I'd like to know, to be able to share with our followers what the difference is right now from the pre-COVID, if it's more shortages on the shelves or whatever the case may be. But anyway, I wanted to let you guys know what's going on around the world. We've got a full lockdown in Wales in the UK, and now you know what that means. People are going to be limited as to how much they can get out and how long they can stay out once they go out, because when they did that lockdown in Australia, people were only allowed to go out for like an hour at a time, And then only one person at a time could go out and do any kind of shopping once a week. So keep that in mind. These things have a way of migrating from country to country. People will follow each other's lead sometimes, depending on the circumstances and situations. So that's 3 of our readers there that from the UK, from Canada, and from North Carolina, right here in the United States. I've read several other comments in here of people that said that the foods that they had been accustomed to getting was not on the shelves anymore. And one theory of that, of course, is that a lot of these food producers are eliminating certain flavors or certain types of a specific food, and are limiting it to a certain amount of certain number of foods in that line that they're producing now to try to ramp up their production. So they may have offered 15 varieties of flavors at one time, and now they're only offering 3, but they have plenty of those 3. That's kind of what some of the folks are thinking is happening, and I'm sure it probably is. So let's move on. The next comment is from Heidi, and this is really hits home. Heidi said traditionally folks set aside enough until next harvest. And you know, people always did that when we were growing up as children. We always had food set aside until the next year. We had canned goods. We had meat in the smokehouse. We had everything put back. My mom and dad canned and preserved all fall, all summer and all fall. And we always had food put back to do us till the next harvest. And they said mostly food, this is still Heidi, mostly food was homegrown and prepared at home from scratch. Oh gosh, how I miss those scratch meals of my mother's. Garden seeds were kept enough for at least 2 years. Think about this. This is an important part right here. Garden seeds were kept enough for at least 2 years. Why? In case any crop failure. If you had 2 years worth of food and you had a crop failure, or 2 years worth of seeds and you had a crop failure, then you were okay the next year. You still had seeds to get by. So keep that in mind. Try to put back at least 2 years worth of seeds for your crops. That's a great idea there. There were no food banks. Hunting, fishing, and foraging were the available options. I know that's not as available right now as it was years ago, but it may become an option here before we realize it. We just really don't know. Even kids knew how to do plenty of that. I have heard enough stories from older folks doing these things on the way home from school, and that was dinner on the table when they did so. A lot of kids put dinner on the table. I can remember many times we had squirrel dumplings, squirrels with gravy, just a lot of squirrel meat. We ate a lot of squirrel meat when I was young, and my older brother, mostly brought most of that in. He was an excellent hunter. I never was as adapted as he was in the woods, but I tried. I got a few along, but we ate a lot of squirrel meat, stuff like that, and it was just, you know, that's just how times were then. Times have changed. I know times have changed, and everything isn't available, and the options aren't there that used to be there. But it don't stop you from trying. It doesn't stop you from trying to prep and to get ready for what's coming, okay? Now, Myrna says, I have learned a few days ago a phrase by a prepper lady on another channel. And I love watching other preppers' channels. I get all kinds of information from them that helps me. And she said, I use it with people that say prepping is wrong. And I thought this was very fit for the day we live in. The prepper lady says, at least if I'm wrong, I can eat my error. What are you going to eat if you're wrong? How about that? If you and I are wrong for prepping, we can eat our errors and we can save money doing so. We bought it while it's as cheap as it's going to be for a while. We put it back at those prices and we can eat it. If we're wrong, and I hope we are wrong, if we're wrong, we can eat here for a long time without having to go to the groceries and stock up like we've been stocking up, because we've been stocking more than we traditionally would if we were not in a situation like we are now. So Keep that in mind. You can eat your error if you're a prepper and you're wrong. I like that. So Michelle said, it may take a while for all the food shortages to catch up, but at the same time, inflation will be happening. Keep doing what you're doing. Buy what you can while it's available. Yes, it's important to be spiritually prepared. These are the last days. Well, thank you, Michelle. And I agree with you. I think that we need to be spiritually prepared as well as physically prepared. And it really is time to stock up on this stuff. Like I said just a second ago, what you buy now, you're getting it at these prices. And the price of food is going to continue to increase because of inflation. Our country is going to see a lot more inflation than what it is right now. So we need to get prepared for that. Buy what you can now. People who bought, now I was watching the Alaska Prepper a couple of weeks ago. And he said, I think it was 3 years ago, he went to Lowe's to buy 2x4s. And they were $2 and something a piece. And he went back this year to look at those same 2x4s. He showed pictures of them for us. And they were $7 and something a piece. You're talking about inflation. That's crazy. Well, we're going to continue to see that happening. I'm not going to try to build anything right now. We've got some lumber put back that we've had for a while, but I'm not going to go buy any lumber from Lowe's or anywhere else. I've checked their prices and lumber prices all over, and they're just crazy high. So there again, what you can buy right now that you can afford that's reasonably priced, go ahead and get it because it'll be higher later on. Okay, Rain Coast said back in the day, all people out in the country were preppers. We grew our own food and made firewood, etc. But today, most run to the store every 2 or 3 days for food or eat out most of the time. And you know, this is something that brought to my mind when he said that, because it's very true. People back in the day, they went out and cut firewood. We cut firewood. We had a wood and coal burning stove. We cut wood every year and let it season, and then we bring it in and bust it up and stack it in ricks and cords. And we always had enough firewood to do us all winter long. We always had enough coal put back to do us all winter long. And it took people preparing. You had to be ready for that stuff. You prepared all summer for the winter. That goes back to the scripture about when the scripture says, consider the ain't, you sluggard. They don't have a king over them. They don't have a prince over them. They don't have anybody with a whip behind them, driving them to do anything, but yet they work all summer long to prepare for the winter. So, you know, let's keep that in mind. You have to be prepared for things. If you don't, you're going to suffer. The prudent man foresees the evil, but the ignorant go right on, and they are punished by the evil. So keep that in mind. We got to be ready for these things. But one of the things that comes to my mind, and something he said here, but today most run to the store every 2 or 3 days for food or eat out most of the time. We have a generation of people that have raised their children in fast food restaurants. And what do you think is going to happen if there's a food shortage, if there's a lockdown of any kind that prevents people from going out and buying this stuff from fast food chains, from fast food restaurants? We have children today, I've seen them in stores right here locally, that will throw fits like crazy till they get what they want. They will have their parents begging them to hush. Let me get you something. Whatever it is you want, just hush. I'll get it for you, you know. And there's children that have eaten these foods from restaurants for so long that they won't want anything cooked at home. They won't have a home-cooked meal. They don't even like home-cooked food. It's going to be a struggle. There's going to be parents struggling with this because of the lack of home cooking. It's time to learn to start fixing stuff at home again. As the Clampetts called it, the victuals. Get your victuals out and get them ready and learn to cook victuals. Home cooking. Train your children to eat home cooking. Even if it's a little bit each day, a little bit each week, put home cooking in front of them and teach them to like that, because it could come down to you having to cook for them daily. The next thing, CT said, 2 things will happen for sure. This will be a very sad Thanksgiving and Christmas for millions of people. And second, 2021 will be worse than 2020. And I happen to agree with him. I think we're going to see a lot of people who put a lot of hope in Christmas and Thanksgiving, and put a lot of it means a tremendous amount to them. There's people that holidays mean more to them than their families, or mean more to them than God or anything else. And these people, if they can't supply what they normally do during the Thanksgiving and Christmas traditions, then they're going to suffer a lot of depression and anxiety. We will see a lot of sickness. We'll see a lot of suicide. We'll see a lot of things take place if there's a lockdown. More so than what's already happened. We've already seen that take place, but there'll be more of it. So be ready for these things. Have yourself mentally prepared, physically, mentally prepared, and have your heart spiritually prepared, that you know that the grace of God is sufficient for you. These things are important, so important for us. Now, when he said this, he had 2 replies that I wanted to read also. And Shadowcast said, have to agree, get your pumpkin for pies now. I've been hearing there will be a shortage of it due to poor crops this year. Same with turkeys. Been hearing there will be a bit smaller this year. So if you need a big one, think ahead. Then think of Christmas and the like also. Again, you have to do these things ahead of time. We have been able to find pumpkin at Dollar Tree. I've not went out and looked for pumpkin since I read this, but I will the next time we go to the city. I will most definitely make it a point to see how our local Walmart and our local groceries supply is on pumpkin. But if it's important to you to have a pumpkin pie for Thanksgiving, buy it now. If it's on the shelf, buy it now. Don't put it off. If important to you to have a ham for Christmas or something like that for Christmas, buy it now. Go ahead and do it now. Don't be caught without it if it's going to depress or cause you anxiety. Get it done ahead of time. The other response to that was, I have been planning ahead. My holiday shopping will be done this weekend, and I have everything for meals. But for others, I'd have to agree with you, and I am definitely 2021 is likely to be worse. So this person here, Trajan, I think is the name. She's already got her Thanksgiving prepared, bought up. She's already got her Christmas bought up. She's got everything planned and prepped ahead of time for that, so she don't have to go back out and do anything at this point. It's important to have these things done, and don't bring yourself into a place that it leaves you depressed or anxious over these things. And I have a tendency to agree with these people. I don't foresee 2021 being any better than this year or the end of this year. I think there's a very good possibility it could be quite a bit worse than the year that we're in right now and coming to the end of. Keep that in mind when you're preparing. RWG said, it amazes me how helpless people have become. Many buy meals in a box. Many also can't brew coffee and have to go to Starbucks and restaurants. Very few in the blue states have had husbandry skills. Had a neighbor move in next door. They never grew a garden in their life. Before I gave them plant starts, they ended up with fresh tomatoes, cucumbers, beans, and yellow squash. This next year, I will help them with water bath canning. We also picked plums from my tree and theirs and made frozen plum jam. So good. That's what neighbors do. So let me say thank you, RWG, for being a good neighbor. He didn't have to reach out to his neighbors and give them plants. He didn't have to reach out to them and say, come over here, let's pick plums from our trees and I'll show you how to can them. Let's can us some jam. He didn't have to do any of that stuff. That's what neighbors do. That's what people used to do. They used to teach others skills. And that's how they survived. And that's what we need to be doing. We need to be teaching our children skills instead of video games. Don't mean to hurt your feelings, but that's just how it is. Your children can't eat video games. They can't grow gardens through video games. They can't do any of this stuff. They can't learn how to can through video games. We need to be teaching our children skills. Skills that they can survive with and live with. Okay? So the next one, and this will be the last one. I'll wind this up right here. I don't want to be too awful long. The last one was Bonnie. Bonnie sent a comment here that I really appreciated. Bonnie said, I've noticed a couple of good things that has come out of this test. One is more and more people are determined not to ever get caught in this situation again if they can do anything about it. And I have seen that. I've seen a lot of people that have commented on our channel that have said they are beginning preppers. One commented today, and I want to address that right now before I go on through Bonnie's comment. One emailed or commented today and said, we've only been prepping for a short time, and we've only got, I don't remember, she said 3 to 6 months worth of food put back for me and my daughter. Are we too late? Is it too late for us? It's never too late. My wife and I are in the same situation. We may have 6 months worth of food put back for us and our son, but we're just going to keep on keeping on. It's never too late. Listen, buy things. If you have extra money and you can afford it, buy bartering items. Buy things that you can swap and trade, stuff like coffee and cigarettes and alcohol and medical supplies. All those make great bartering items. Put that stuff aside, and then when you need some food, you can trade for it if you need to, if things get that bad. But until then, keep prepping. Keep buying the foods that are going to sustain you and keep putting them back. Just keep doing what you're doing. Don't quit. Don't slow down. Just keep doing what you're doing. If you have a heart for this and you're sincere in what you're doing and you run out of food, you'll find help. You'll find help. And if you know the Lord Jesus Christ, then you know that his grace will be sufficient for you and he will provide you help. That's the most wonderful thing about all this. But anyway, let's finish Bonnie's comment. And I've noticed more preparedness channels of people that look like me. I know there's a lot of people of color that were prepared but didn't discuss this format, not because of shame, but due to trust issues. And I understand that. I understand that 100%. And I've actually found a couple of folks of color that I've began to follow their channels. Very knowledgeable people, very knowledgeable, and excellent preppers. Great information from their channels. Being self-reliant has always been taught in church. Wisdom of ain'ts, we mentioned that a minute ago, and it should have been taught in schools. But schools quit teaching that. Years and years ago, husbandry was taught in schools, but it's not now. Because of the government taking care of everybody, you don't need husbandry, or people think they don't. You don't have to be rich to prepare. Buy 1 or 2 items you use each shopping trip and build your stocks. And when I used to get negative responses about being prepared and told it's paranoid, I would always say our government is one of the biggest preppers on the planet. And that's true. Look at how the government prepares. And let's go back to March. Back in, I think maybe it's April, I read an article where the states in the United States, the states were buying up millions of dollars of canned goods and storing them back against hard times. And they were claiming preppers were causing the can shortages. It was not the preppers, it was the states. But anyway, the government is a prepper, and you can't depend on others to take care of you. You really can't. When push comes to shove, if there's a lockdown and there's a food shortage and push comes to shove, you're not going to be able to run to you. Everybody can't run to their neighbor's house and get a loaf of bread or get a pound of hamburger meat or borrow some meat to repay next week, because there won't be nothing to repay with. You're going to be stuck, and you cannot depend on other people to take care of you. Learn to take care of yourself. Get out here and become, I just did a video yesterday I uploaded about Granny's supply chain and food shortages. Granny's supply chain was her garden. Granny's supply chain was her children working in that garden. So they prepped and made ready for themselves. You've got to get stuff ready for yourself. You've got to take care of yourself. And if you do, you may be able to help somebody else. You may be able to be in a position that you can help others who fall short. But now that CV-19 ripped off the scab of what can happen, the naysayers are working like ants, thank God, and they feel blessed to get a second chance before it gets crazy again. And Bonnie, I'm glad too. I'm glad that people have been given a second chance to try to get ready for what's coming down the road. I am so grateful. And she said I wanted to share my thoughts this morning, and I wanted to compliment her on and say thank you. She said, I love how calming and its clarity without alarm and panic on this channel. Well, And I'm going to read you my answer to her. There's a reason that I'm calming and I don't have a lot of panic in me. There's a very good reason for that. I guess I don't have panic or alarm in me because my trust and hope is in Jesus alone. I've learned a long time ago to put my hope in Christ. And he has become my hope. He has become my peace. And my rest is in him. And I would encourage you today, if you don't know Christ, that you would seek him out while you can find him. Because those that have a repentant heart, the Bible promises us that if you seek him, you'll find him. If you knock, he'll open the door to you. And he'll reveal himself to you. So thank you all for stopping by again. We hope that each and every one of you can get prepared. We hope that each and every one of you will look to the future. Be prepared mentally and be prepared spiritually. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like our video, click that bell icon when it comes up so you'll be notified of our uploads as we do them, and share this with friends. And we do have plans of doing this very often, if not weekly, going over the comments that you folks leave. So please feel free to leave your comments and suggestions in our comment section below. We love to read what you say, and we appreciate you so much. So we'll catch you in the next video.